As the world's most abundant fossil fuel, coal is one of the most fundamental sources of energy in the world. Currently, 40% of the world's electricity is generated by coal. Every year, Canada exports around 28 million tons of coal around the globe. It's the single largest commodity carried by the Canadian railways nationwide. Coal is cheap, high energy, and abundant. However, it comes at a heavy health and environmental price. With many communities seeking to develop and expand coal terminals across the country for economic development, the question we must ask is, what are the potential hazards in expanding, and is it worth it?
In order to access coal, we must dig deep beneath the Earth's surface. Mines are used to extract the product, but the construction and upholding of these mines are very damaging to the surrounding ecosystems. Mountaintops are removed for surface coal mining, and the landscape is destroyed, along with the habitats of the animals that live there. Coal releases harmful pollutants like sulfur and other heavy metals such as mercury, lead, and arsenic into the air, all of which are very dangerous to the lungs. Since coal is primarily made of carbon, CO2 is released into the atmosphere when coal is burned that damages the ozone and increases the greenhouse gas effect. The transportation of coal causes a lot of pollution. This is because of the diesel exhaustion from the ships and trains that are used to transport the coal from the producers and countries of origin to the consumers. This pollution includes CO2, nitrogen oxide, and particulate matter, which contribute to smog and acid rain. Shipping noises can be of great damage to aquatic populations, specifically whales that use their own calls to communicate and move. Noise pollution can disrupt and overpower the calls of the whales, who get confused and can't move in the right direction or as a group. This breaks their patterns of movement and can be detrimental to their reproductive and feeding patterns.
Direct exposure to coal can lead to many health risks. It can lead to respiratory illnesses such as black lung disease, which are found in many miners who have worked at coal facilities. Their lungs would go from this to this. Many environmental impacts created by coal transport and usage can create indirect human health concerns, such as release of carbon monoxide, mercury, arsenic, and other toxic pollutants. Concerns have been raised if whether or not the transportation of coal will result in a spillage of coal dust and harmful diesel exhaust that are considered hazardous to human health. Fraser Health Authority Chief Medical Officer Paul Van Binder proposed a study to be conducted to assess the health impact of coal transportation back in 2013. However, contrary to popular concerns, the environmental health impact of coal dust during transportation is actually fairly minimal. According to a study, trains carrying coal created only a modest and brief enhancement of particles around their surrounding areas, which is well below the U.S. National Institute Occupational Safety and Health recommended limit of 1 milligram per meter cubed over an 8-hour period.
Luckily, there are many countries that recognize the damages of coal to the environment and human health and are looking to reduce and eliminate its use in the near future. Many countries are looking to replace the energy coal produces by other clean forms of energy, such as natural gas, which admittedly has its own set of drawbacks, solar panels, and wind power. Canada, the UK, and Mexico, along with 17 other countries, have signed a coal coalition to eliminate their coal consumption by the year 2030. Unfortunately, these combined countries only make up 2% of coal consumption globally, which means that overall there won't be a huge reduction in its use. Furthermore, the Coal Coalition does not mention reducing those countries' production, which means that although they will reduce their consumption, they will continue to produce and sell their coal to other countries. The countries that should be targeted for coal reduction reforms are those in countries who are consuming and producing the largest amounts of coal, namely China, India, Japan, and South Korea as consumers, as their usage combined is 58% of world consumption. In terms of coal production, China, India, and the United States together contributes to 63% of the world's production of coal. One country who does not only plan to continue coal consumption and production, but wants to bring back more jobs to the coal industry is the United States. Trump is willing to sacrifice environmental and human health for the betterment of the US economy. But we shouldn't place the blame without recognizing our own wrongdoings as well. Canada is still the 13th highest producer of coal, and 85% of that production comes from Alberta and British Columbia. In addition, Canada, British Columbia specifically, allows America to ship out its coal through our ports to the Asian consumer countries because the West Coast US states won't allow the federal government to build coal terminals in their own territories.
Now, recommendations. Where does this lead us to? Coal dust falling from trains is not too big of an issue as existing techniques of spraying special polymers on coal piles drastically reduce any coal dust from falling during transportation. But anything could be slightly improved. Exploring other means to further prevent more coal dust falling is a possible solution. Diesel exhaust is also not that big of a deal either. We could use more fuel efficient and effective trains, but it's not much impact in change. The biggest direct impact would probably be the noise pollution and impact on local whale population. New terminals should be considered built in more rural areas where not much whale and human activities are happening. If possible, recommend not building new ones in hopes of de-incentivizing the use of coal worldwide, making the most of existing coal facilities.
Although the short-term direct health impact of coal terminals and coal transportation might be considered insignificant, the long-term prospect of coal use should be the focus of a concern. By creating coal terminals and exports, we are encouraging other countries to continue their usage of coal as a source of energy. It is the effects of long-term pollution of coal consumption that should concern us most. These effects will bring damage to our health and to the health of the environment, damage that may be impossible to reverse. So we ask you, do you think it's worth it?